All right, welcome back to Shop Night Live here in beautiful Canterbury, New Hampshire. It's a wonderful Thursday night, and it is the opening Thursday of the Masters tournament. I know you know. Maybe some of you don't. Maybe you don't care. But tonight we're going to get into you helping me figure out what's a nice design for this coffee table idea that I've had for some time. And it has to do with a previous episode we did, what was that, probably a year ago, on making these giant slab tops. So we're going to get right into that. But before we do, I just want to say thank you very much for being here. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out in the shop. And also, if you enjoy this content, you want to see more, head on over to epicwoodworking.com, and we have courses there and all that. You can move into the neighborhood and go even deeper. And right now we are just 2/3 the way through a course. And the past episode, we made this little jig that accurately and easily set these butt hinges into the door. This is a hanging cabinet project we have. It's actually a bow front hanging cabinet course, but this is one of the bonuses of it, where we also built a frame and panel version with a straight front. So we showed two different types of cabinets in that course, and on the full-size drawings, both are depicted there. So even the curved door fronts, we show two different styles of that. One has laminated style, over form in a vacuum press, and the other is coopered in the traditional sense of barrel makers and coopering the door with several staves cut at the correct angle. So that's been a lot of fun. It's chock full. Even though it's a small cabinet, we've gone 6 sessions, but had a lot of fun, and we're going to be starting to see it come together. So even if you haven't been part of it, you can join in. Especially if you're part of the neighborhood, it's open access. If you want to just sign up for the class, you can do that online as well. All right. And of course, like, share, and subscribe, and all that fun stuff. All right, everybody. So I'm psyched to get into this. I want to first revisit the old thing, the old episode that I was talking to you about. But I kicked off the night by mentioning my favorite sporting event of all time, of the whole year. And a lot of people may poo-poo it and think of it not as a sport, but it's golf. I like all kinds of sports, but the Masters tournament is the ultimate, I think, in competitive environment. And they have these schmaltzy little video vignettes to promote it. And if you can go on masters.com and see these every day. And they did one this morning. I had to go check it out. And it has the music, the quiet music. And then you hear the voice coming out as you're looking at the emerald, incredibly beautiful setting of the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. And the voice comes on and he says, and first of all, let me say, the video is panning these gorgeous old trees on the grounds. And he says, they are nature's natural sentries, always there through history, a silent witness to the remarkable. That's like, and then they're showing little clips of great things happening on the course. They are also this arena's walls, but in all their beauty, recently, one thing has been missing: the roars that echo off them. So then they were getting into the fact that there have been no crowds at Augusta National for the Masters in recent years, but they are fully back, and it's just a celebration, and it's just a wonderful tournament. It's definitely on my bucket list. I think the camera lady has it on her bucket list too, to go there. Somehow we're going to make our way to Augusta National someday. So anyway, with that in mind, it got me thinking, nature's sentries, the sentinels of nature outside. And we do love a great mature tree, right? I mean, walking in the woods, especially if you're in a mature forest with very few small saplings, you feel like you're in a cathedral at certain times. It's just, no man could create anything more dramatic or wondrous, walking through like an amazing tended forest. And so they're like these silent sentinels of time. And with the growth rings, they've been there over centuries sometimes, and so there's a lot of meaning and richness to trees. But while I was reading that and looking at the Masters this morning, I looked up from my phone and I just glanced around the room and saw numerous pieces of furniture that I had made out of wood, out of trees, the silent sentinels. And I thought, those pieces of furniture are like silent sentries in this home. They're the work of our hands. They say something of what we care about. But isn't it awesome that we're taking a natural product in nature and you're reforming it into something beautiful to be useful in your home, and also it has that warm memory over time. And maybe what do they call it? The unthinkable moments those trees have overseen at the Masters. Well, what about all the unrepeatable moments that have happened in our homes, that are a piece of furniture? All right, enough poetry and schmaltzy. Yeah, the Masters got me all worked up. But anyway, I do want to say that reminded me of a tree that we had behind the shop. In fact, when we positioned the shop, when we cleared the lot, one of the things I said was, I want it right about here so we can drive up around back and not have to take down that tree. And it was this gorgeous, mature ash tree that was huge, and it looked awesome. Well, unfortunately, bugs got into it, ants got into it, or somehow, after about 15 years of the shop being here, and we had to cut it down. And we did a Shop Night Live episode of some of the cookies that we took from the main trunk of that, which ended up being just shy of 32 inches in diameter. And so we did an episode where we talked about, I think it was called Backyard Treasures. Is that right? Mm-hmm.
Something like that. It's linked below.
Okay. So we took these slices, and on that Finding Backyard Treasures, I talked about, come on over here and let's look at, this is a little look down memory lane. This is something we had set up back some time ago. We set up this planing table so that you could flatten slabs. And I went into that on that episode of Shop Night Live. A simple way to build your own box for flattening slabs or tree cookies. Excuse me. We call them cookies sometimes because they look like giant cookies. And this is a cutting of that ash slab. Now, the worst part of this is that stump was there for a couple years, and I had no idea. I thought it was going to last longer as a stump, but it started to get a little bit of dry rot in the outer 4 or 5 inches here, and that's annoying. But I think when I finish it, it won't be as bad. But all inside here, it's really great. And when I counted the growth rings out, it was 185 years old. Wow. So it was quite interesting to think about. And on the other side, I'll show you in a second, I made marks of significant dates, like where like the Civil War was and how large, we have President Abraham Lincoln. This silent sentry was standing there. And anyway, I thought it would be nice to make some tables, some coffee tables out of these, but I've had the discs hanging around. And if you came to Epic Weekend, you might have seen those. I think I stuffed them downstairs, like in the closet, but to clean up my mess before everybody came. But I have probably 6 of them, and I thought, I got to figure out a base to make. And I've seen a lot of bases for coffee tables and things, and sometimes people put these heavy wire bases underneath coffee tables. To me, they look, I don't know, it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't work. But it might for you. I'm not saying it's a problem. But I'm trying to come up with something a little more geometric that would work, almost look contemporary modern underneath this. And so tonight, I want you to help me. I'm going to just kick around some ideas to formulate a good looking base that would be under here. We're going to just try a couple different ideas and we'll just vote for ourselves. Does it work or not? Back to the drawing board. We'll see. But anyway, I want to just quickly show you, revisit this, the way this works. It's just a box with two side rails of equal height and true and straight with this carriage that rides along. And because the carriage, each sidewall here has an L shape with the plywood, it lends it some rigidity so it doesn't sway when you put any pressure in the middle. I mean, not enough that we're going to put. And then using the router placed in here, it rides right across and skims the tree cookie. Now, when I first described this, I showed it using a 1/2-inch bit. Maybe I had a 3/4 in there. I can't remember. But I made all these little lines because you had to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. For however narrow your bit was, you were trying to just keep taking these past bites. And I mentioned during that live stream that there are these cutters that are made for slab flattening or on CNC machines to retrue your table. And they're these discs that are cutter heads that are about 2 inches in diameter. Wouldn't you know it, kind soul sent me, Ed, you know who you are, showed up in the mail unannounced, and look at that. I've got, let me plunge this so you can see it. This is what it looks like. If you want to get one of these, it's a cutter like that. And we put the link to this, or one just like it. It's 2 inches in diameter, and it spins and it retrues and flattens whatever's below it. So that actually drops down low here through my sled, and now it only takes me a few passes. It dramatically reduced the time it takes to true this up. So awesome, Ed. It's funny, anytime I mention something like that and somebody is kind enough to think and send me something, I'm always stunned and shocked. So if we don't...
You don't mention it on purpose.
No, I don't ever. No, my car's not been doing well lately. It's no, I don't. What's really crazy is whenever that's happened, we never gotten 2 of anything, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's more evidence of the amazing hand that is involved in this. That
yes.
The motivation for you to do that. So anyway, thank you again. But anyway, I'm going to just demonstrate 1 or 2 quick passes. The problem is it makes such a mess and dust, and I'm not going to blow out the camera lady or the room with this. So I just want to show you really quick how it works.
Wait, Tom. Joel's curious, is there a RPM limit on that bit?
Oh, Joel, I don't know. I don't know about the RPM limit, but when I started it up, I turned it down. The general rule is if you're going over 1.5 inches diameter, you want to be down to like a 5. Like this goes up to 6. But I've done the thing, I think it's 22,000 RPMs is the max of most routers, if I got that correct. And then if you go up over 1.5 inches, you want to drop down to like 18,000. Check your manuals. But yeah, that's what you want to go by. So I actually ran this lower at I took it down to the 5 because it is 2 inches. But I'm just skimming along. And I am skimming along in the vertical, so.
Can you hook up a dust collector to it?
Yes, you can. That's the one final, I would consider it a major lacking in my design here right now. I need that. I was actually holding the dust collector here. I have seen some other people, there are some other people who've shown videos or how to make them, and they put like that little, like a dust brush around, and they had it all really beautifully housed with the hose coming in the top. So when you carry over, it's catching most of the dust, almost like a CNC machine. That would be wonderful, but this, I know I really would have to do that to do any number of these. I was thinking either that or even just drape a tent around me. I know that sounds really stupid, but if rather than, it just seems like it's going to be hard to set up a dust collector on this because it wants to come out this way as much as you'll see in a second. When you skim over it, it's not like it wants to pull it this way. I guess that's why you would need the brushes. So that's the one flaw in this. But yes, you're right. That would be good to design in as well. And I know other people have done that. So you can check that out online. All right. Here
You don't need a festool to use it, correct?
No, no, you can use any router. I like using a plunge because you can drop it down. You may notice these sticks coming out here. I actually had to shim the cookie up in order to skim it off. I've got two sidewalls here. I actually screwed on an additional higher sidewall. I started out with a low sidewall. So you can also attack the height that way by changing the height of your sidewalls. You know, you can screw them on and off, drop it down more if you had a thinner 2-inch slab. That's what that was for originally. But so it's all kinds of options. Drop your sides or shim the cookie. But no, you do not need a festool. You can do it with a whatever, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Porter cable, whatever. But a plunge is nice. All right, so I'm just going to show you the slightest bit here so we don't totally mess up this place. I am going to turn on the dust collector just to do this. Okay, here we go. All right, so that's enough of that. So check it out.
Yeah.
What?
You got the idea.
Yeah, see, we dropped it down about 3/16 of an inch right there. But you see how fast I could skim over this just by going in and in.
And the shank size, Tom, and the size of the collet you need?
The shank size is a 1/2 inch. And you can see that on the link. We linked you to one on Amazon, and I think it's pretty inexpensive. I think it was like $15.
$16.99.
Yeah. So the shaft is like 2 inches, and then the cutter head itself is like a 1/2 inch. So overall 2.5 and 2-inch diameter.
Does that answer the collet question?
The collet is a 1/2 inch.
Okay.
Yeah, you really running a big bit like that. You almost always are going to have a 1/2 inch collet.
Okay. Are you going to leave this live edge when you are done?
Leave it live edge? Yeah. I mean, the bark is gone. I'll probably sand it up. I'm just a little, like I said, I'm disappointed with this. It's kind of spalting, but it gets to punky. You can see the way it's tearing out the grain a little bit. That's a little too soft for my liking. So I got some dry rot there. What I would love to know is some of you have had experiences with this, and maybe to share with other friends online, what you've used. I know there's epoxy resins, there's stabilizer type things, but keep in mind the cost. I know some of these stabilizers are quite expensive, and some of them are meant to apply to the wood while it's still wet, so you don't get any of these checks. That's pretty cool stuff. I have looked into that and seen it, but have not used it, obviously, not on this one. And but I am curious what you who've had experience with this would recommend, because that would saturate. You do want it to re-harden. I'm thinking like a thin-bodied epoxy resin to let it saturate in, and then sand that back, and then you'll end up going through your finishing processes later on once you've stabilized
CA
it.
glue, Steve's suggesting it soaks in.
Yeah, how expensive, I'm curious, Steve, is that a less expensive option than thin-bodied epoxy. Because CA glue, I think it comes in smaller quantities typically, and this is going to end up being a 3-inch high cookie. I'm going to probably take some off underneath the edge to lighten it up a little bit, which we'll talk about in a second. But that CA glue, I think it can get costly. So I'm thinking of perhaps a thinner bodied epoxy.
Yeah, he says it's not cheap, but it works.
Yeah, for something this size is what I'm thinking. I know like a smaller turning element. This is a 32-inch diameter cookie that's 3 inches thick. So it's pretty big.
Michael says Menards sells a wood hardener in a bottle.
Wood hardener, yeah.
Wood hardener.
I wonder if that's good clarity. It's pretty clear, I assume.
Yeah, I'll let Tom read this later.
I'm curious for people to share
okay.
too.
Well,
so.
they're seeing it sometimes.
Yeah,
okay.
good.
Ken says he's used automotive body filler for a project like this, and once it worked really well. And Lupe says I've mixed epoxy with sawdust to fill cracks in live edge pieces.
Good.
Min-wax wood hardener is a cheaper way to start. Total boat penetrating epoxy.
Excellent ideas.
And yes, Ed will look for the black CA glue and link it. What about
Oh, I do have black CA glue.
the cracks? Claude's asking, are you
Oh,
using
great
butterflies?
question. Yeah, Claude. Yeah, I was letting these really dry out, make sure they're dry. They are good now. Whereas I don't have to worry about them changing at all. And I am going to, I've never done the epoxy resin table. And everybody's seen those river tables and people filling cracks and all that. I'm going to put a black epoxy in there. I think that would look cool. Just get that non-sticky backer and fill it right up, and then you sand it flush after the fact. And so I like the idea of using resin with sawdust or something that's penetrating. I'm not sure I use the auto body filler because I'm not painting it. I want it to, and that's opaque. Usually, if I'm thinking of the right thing, it's kind of like a light reddish color. And I'm not trying to fill it to paint it. I'm trying to fill it and harden it to finish it and get the best appearance. So that's kind of the challenge when you're dealing with rotted stuff like this. And I haven't messed around a lot with rotten wood. But here we are. So that would be the treatment. I'll go all the way across. And if you want to see me looking into the dates of history, on this. It's on the other side of this, but it's really interesting. It's on that other video, but we want to get to designing. So let's think about how we're going to use this cookie to make a cool coffee table. Now, let me set this aside for a second. So I've got a...
Oh, Ken says the body filler was for the crack only.
Okay,
Sorry,
Ken.
I misunderstood that.
Yeah, I'm going to use the epoxy black resin for that. Although the body filler, yeah, that's tempting too. But I think the resin, because I like the stabilizing factor. I'm not sure one would be better than the other. All right. So there's not much on here, obviously, but
Little coffee stain.
yeah, I always like to put a coffee stain on my coffee table drawings. Puts me in the mood when I get started. But this was actually not for my coffee table. I was thinking about this design for a table in our kitchen. I know I haven't talked to the camera lady about it. She's not that hot on it.
You give me 4 seconds to respond. It looks beautiful.
No, I wouldn't.
Anything that you make that's in our home is delicious.
Oh, thank you.
Even Harry Potter glasses around my bathroom mirror is going to be great.
We haven't put those in yet, though.
Not yet, but they're coming.
But anyway, this is the top of the table, and we have this nice little area off of the kitchen that it's a small cape, but it makes like a larger kitchen. By the window, we decided to set up just a simple table with a couple chairs, so it'd be like a restaurant. And the camera lady has these awesome plants behind there, and it's really a nice place to sit in the morning. You know, the raking sun coming across, and you feel like you're in a little diner. But we've been on this rickety table we've been putting there, and it's embarrassing. You know, a furniture maker, someone came in there, I'm on this like rickety folding table. But it's actually been good because we've been able to test out the size and the space and actually use it for a while. And And it's like 43 inches in diameter. Did you know that?
I hadn't done the measuring, no. That didn't occur to me.
So I decided to make this one 44, just a little larger, and 3 or 4 people can sit around it pretty comfortably, but 3 is really comfortable. And we've had a lot of good breakfasts and discussions over this table, and I thought I was going to make a new one, something solid, and I made a table like this years ago that had a base that had these laminated curves, and I'm going to show you that at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to work with this, but I just wanted to see something in my mind, so I started laying that out. But one idea I may use on that table, not to diverge too much, but I do want to get in the spirit of talking about tables here, is I found these cutoffs. Look at these cutoffs from another veneer project that I did where, what was that? Trying to remember. Macore, I think, is the material. It was a crotch Macore veneer, and I have 20 consecutive sheets here. So I had 20 in the flitch, and I used this V-cut because there was this really nice flame in there. So these are all numbered right on down through the flitch. So what's nice about that is I could book match these like this. See that reflection? Oh, look at that one cracked. I'll have to tape that up. But let me put a page that looks clean. Okay, like that one. And what you can do, this actually is big enough that I could make a sunburst pattern on that top of that table. So 44-inch diameter top. But one of the cool ways to conceptualize, stay right there, I want to show you this. What it's going to look like, a table like this, is with 2 mirrors. And you can take the mirrors and set them on the veneer. And can you look in right this way into that reflection? Can you see that? I don't know if it comes up on the camera really well. But you can move this around and you can see the pattern. See the reflection, the mirrored pattern? And you can actually look in there and see the whole table. So if you held these mirrors at the angle appropriate for 20 wedges,
Wow.
which if we divide 20 into 360, what's that give us?
18?
18! Whoa, the camera lady coming through. 18 degrees. Each wedge would give us 20 pieces. So if we held this at 18 degrees, we would see, if you could see that well in the glass, but you only need to see a few to see what kind of repeating pattern you're going to be having going around this whole table. So that's kind of fun to think about.
That's cool.
And do you think that'll be too formal?
Is that the table in our kitchen?
Do you think that'll be too formal?
No.
I mean, I'll make it, but I was thinking that, and then we could put that laminated curved staved base underneath it. But we'll see. But I will definitely share that construction with you all when we get into it. I think it'll be a blast.
Are you thinking that would go on top of that cookie?
No, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Steve had mentioned veneering that.
Veneering the cookie? Mm-hmm.
Oh. Covering the...
Well, Steve, if I was going to veneer, needed a substrate to veneer, first of all, I'd probably use something that was stable and not moving and end grain and punky. And the whole point of finishing that is to see the growth rings and see the silent sentry over the years, right? See those rings and be able to say, this tree,
True.
this rotten tree was in my yard. All right. So
Preserve
anyway,
it forever.
So with that in mind, I got thinking about that's what led me to think of the slabs and a basis for that. And I thought, rather than doing the curved staves, I think it would be too much. Because this is a little more primitive here, where this might be a little more stylish, a little more formal with the sunburst top, it'd be incredible. But I would try to make it not so stuffy. But then here, I'm thinking more of like a geometric type pattern, like something that had more of a modern feel. So you have your cookie here, and then, so I was just thinking, what if I just do a conical shape under there, either just straight cone, maybe even blacken it. Maybe make it all black and then I could even ebonize the underside of the cookie and just have the top side be the color of the wood. That would be kind of cool too. And I thought, all right, just for playing around with the initial concept, just to see if it works, I can try it with a straight cone. And I thought of having a little rim at the bottom. I'm not sure. I don't think I really want that. This little other line under the top that I was sketching there is a type of cross cleat that I'm thinking maybe I'm going to have to attach it. I was just thinking of ways to attach. And then this little quick sketch was the same shape, but showing a concave curvature to the cone. So you would have a little different appearance there. So I thought with those two, I would go ahead and sketch it up to scale. So let me get out my drawing table.
Kevin mentions it looks like a mushroom. That's what I was thinking too, Kevin.
Yeah.
A little mushroom-y for me.
Yeah, but maybe, well, let's hold our judgment till we actually see it, because that's what we're doing here. We're trying to figure it out. No, you're right.
Yeah, not a judgment, just an observation.
No. I'm just saying, you don't want to hurt the enthusiasm at the beginning.
Well, can you talk about the weight that's going to be an issue on the top and how much you're going to need to hold that? We're getting questions about that.
Yeah, so you definitely want something strong enough. And that's what I was thinking about the cone shelf. Like how much of a steep angle. You're going to need a large enough footprint to be under the conical shape. But yes, I think you need it to be visually weighty enough to look proportionally right under there, but you also need the strength. And so that's why I was getting into thinking about the attachment method, So, plus think about the cone. Are you going to construct the cone in solid? That's a lot of material. Or a staved method. And that's what I was actually thinking about, a coopered staved method. And I sent an email to my mathematician, geek friend, much wiser and experienced former MIT professor about this. I'm trying to get up to speed on the formulas for, this is so stupid, for the trapezoidal staves for making conical shapes. So you've got to glue up basically staves that are angled properly, so you're making almost like a coopered bucket, right? But think it's going to be more severe and it's going to be inverted. And you want to glue it up with thick enough material so then once you get it all glued up, then you chuck it in the lathe and you turn that bad boy. So it ends up being hollow and all the grain is actually running vertically, right? Rather than using a stump. I mean, you could use a stump, I guess, and turn a stump to that shape. But you're going to be dealing like with Fred Flintstone furniture there after a while, So I was just thinking, okay, let's see if we can do it in an elegant way with the stave method and learn something about coopering and how to handle challenges like that. So that's my thought right now.
This is more of a sitting table, not so much a coffee table.
No, that was a sitting table. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse everybody. The table I showed you with the veneer, that's another project. That's a sitting table.
Okay, yeah, we were confused.
Sorry. Yeah, that was my first sketch. That got me thinking about these cookies and the coffee table. This is too small really this could work in a little, for two people to sit in like I guess it's bigger than a Starbucks table, right? But it's meant to be a coffee table. So it's only going to be an 18-inch high table, 18-inch with a small base. So that's why we don't need a huge tall base. So check it out. What I usually do is try to create the drawing to scale. So I've got my little scale ruler, and quite often I'll go with 1/8 of an inch on this scale ruler is equal to 1 inch. So that's what I did, and so for that, it basically comes out to the radius of my top, let's say it's like 32, I set this to, let's see, yeah, to 16. Actually, that gives me 2 inches. So this table, this little radius ends up being, I'm going to draw it a little harder now. I got it. Let's just make a little circle here. So that's going to be my top view of my table. Then I squared down, and I've got some light lines here. Let me darken things in here.
Would you like to hear some of the things that folks are saying, or how do we do that?
Sure, yeah.
Your fellow designers out here?
Yeah, let me just get a little further in what I'm talking about, and then we can. Okay, I want to just show the direction I'm in right now. And I'm going to make a quick model of this. Okay, so we're going to come up to the edge of our table. I'm just squaring down. So this is going to get my table. And I was just eyeballing the angle. I don't know right now, but I got to start somewhere. So we're going to take what we have a gut feeling, and we can modify it on the drawing and then from the model. Now you can do this in 3D if you're that kind of smart person, and I do like 3D drawings, but I don't know, I'm just a tangible guy, you know. I like to actually make models of things when I'm trying to see it, because you actually will see the true three-dimensional space when you make a model. And I know you can get a good visual of that with SketchUp programs as well, but it's just, to me, it's just not the same. So, all right, so I'm going to just draw a couple of these. Now, this one, I'm thinking of rounding under the edge as much as this, if I can do it. I haven't figured out the method I'm going to use. So we may do something like that. That would be quite contemporary looking, right? To start with. Almost Egyptian looking here, right?
We did include the link to building this drawing table, which we did.
Oh, yeah.
On a video, I don't know, it was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, making your own little drawing table. That was a fun one. A number of people wrote me and said they had a good time making that. And it's super easy. And I like it more than my old one that it was store-bought. And then I'm going to draw in these angles. So what I ended up doing was like 18 inches wide at the base of this. And across here, what did I say? I think it's 6 there. Let me double check.
What are the dimensions of that page, Tom?
This
paper.
Oh, I just tore this off my, I have a big roll of butcher block paper not butcher block, butcher paper. And I just tore it off at 16 3/4. It's just a random size by 12. I just cut it like that. But usually I'm using regular paper, but I thought it would be good in case I needed to do any chicken scratch. So let me catch that number I got here again. I said it was right across here. Yeah, I'm at 6 inches here. So that's how, it's 6 there, and then it's 18 at the base here, okay? So think of this as a conical shape. Now we can't see that because we're only in 2 dimensions, and that's where the model helps. This one, our mushroom, now we can think about the round. Let's just, instead of rounding that under, well, I do like that, but let's just go, we could also just go straight. You could not touch the edge. I don't really want to touch the live edge right around the top of it, but we could round under, whatever. And then here I was thinking of a curvature, something like this.
Mm-hmm. Did you say what, you said the height's going to be 18 inches?
18, yeah. So typical, that's pretty good for a coffee table. So we'll say 18 inches high. All right, this slab of a top is going to be 3 inches thick. So that gives us 15 inches for the base. Okay? And then we've got 18 down here, as I said, and the column of the top of our cone is 6 inches where it meets underneath the top. That's our starting point, okay? This is like a working drawing. So you do sketches, you do scale drawings like this, or put them in your SketchUp, and you can look at it and get a sense, do I like that, okay? So there we go. All right, so let's see what these two look like. This looks kind of fat in the two-dimensional, doesn't it? It looks a little too much, but at the same time, we are thinking about how stable is this going to be. At only 18 inches high, though, it would take a lot of pressure on one side to make it tip, because you have to counterweight. You've got like a counterweight going out the other side. Your fulcrum would be like here when you start, and then it's actually on this corner too. You're going to be pushing down. So that's why you want to get the width out far enough so that when you push on this corner, it resists enough to not be a tippy table. All right, so now when I want to make a little model of this pretty rapidly, all I do is I use this and I make the model exactly this size. So it's super easy. I just take a piece of I'm just going to make a template here because I wanted to buzz out a few tops. And I just made a circle like that, and I cut out a disc on the bandsaw to that, okay? So this is my template for the top. Made a little dot in the middle.
Presto.
Now, I needed the material for the thickness of the top. So all I have to do is measure that, and it's 3/8 of an inch thick, because if we remember, our scale was an 1/8 inch to 1 inch actual. So 3/8 gives me a 3-inch top. And then, so I've got some material here. Where is it? Here we go. So here we go. This is 3/8 thick. I have some wormy chestnut waste that I had hanging around, so I just use that because it looks kind of punky, like my top. And I drew a circle on there, and not to waste much time, but I just drew it on there and then sawed it out, and I ended up with a top like that and like that. So there we go. We've got a simulation already of our cookie. Okay, super easy. Just prep
They
your
look
material.
like real cookies.
Yeah, delicious. You lose weight eating those cookies. All right, and so now we want to turn our attention to the base. So for that, we're going to need some material, and we're going to turn this on the lathe, make it simple. And we know that our dimension is 18 inches in real life, but this is scaled. So this is going to be, you can just measure right directly off the drawing, 2 1/4 cylinder at the widest, and then it's going to be 3/4 of an inch. It's going to taper down to 3/4 over 15 inches, okay? Both of them. This one's also 18, 2 1/4 down to 6. But we're just going to turn a concave shape in that, where this one will just go for straight. Now, just for assembly of our model, I'm going to drill a little hole like in here, 7/8, what did I say? A 3/8 diameter hole. I'll go in here, partial depth, okay, up under my base, and then I'll turn a little 3/8 tenon on there. Rather than going over to the drill press and showing you, I don't need to do that. Here's my 3/8 spur bit or brad point bit, and what I did was I already went over to the drill press, and look, I drilled in as far as I could without coming out the other side. So I got a shallow little hole in there in the center of both. So my tops are ready. Now this is not the construction I'm going to use here because, as I said, I may have a hollow box here. But if you turn them solid, this could be your method of joining, with some other accessory cleat or some other method of holding it in there. But I would need some type of cleat system here rather than this. This is just for the model, okay? So all I need to do is turn exactly to these sizes with that little stub tenon that is the size of the shank here, and it should fit pretty well into my model, and we can take a look at this and see what we got, right? All right, so I got a piece of maple I already prepped. It's just a little block, and got the centers already with the spur bit. And we're gonna use this to turn. It's like 2 3/8, already been octagonalized with a octagonalizing method that I've shown many times. And there's even a video of that, like making an octagon. All right, so you can come on right around the front and watch. We're gonna buzz this out on the lathe. So we're just gonna get this in position. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention was, I forgot to show it. The new Fine Woodworking is here. And new Fine Woodworking has the article on the low pencil post bed. Check it out if you haven't seen Fine Woodworking. And a lot of you saw that project. In fact, if you want to build that bed and you saw it in the magazine, you can go on our website at epicwoodworking.com and check out that, or move into the neighborhood and you can get access for it as part of all this fun, wherever. So, but yeah, it was really cool.
During COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And that bed, by the way, in the magazine article, you'll notice that that's the very bed that's in the Made by Tom section of our webpage. So it's available for purchase, the magazine one. And if you buy that, I'm going to give you a little signed copy because that's invaluable. Sorry, if that means anything. It'll give a little more provenance to the table. All right, I mean the bed. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn this cylinder first just to our 2 1/4, right? That's our width at the base, and then we'll make our 2 bases. We can get both our bases out of this one chunk. Let me get my safety glasses on and get us a cylinder going. Here we go. We're going to start out with a roughing gouge. I'm not going to go into a whole turning class here, but I've got a 3/4 inch roughing gouge just to get this quickly to a cylinder, and I got my calipers already set to 2 1/4. I have another one set to 3/4 for the top of our cones, and a third one set to the shank of my 3/8 inch. Is that a better place than not over there? Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can come right on in.
You tell me.
Give them the point of view. Well, no, you'll be able to see what your view is, and people can tell you. What do you like better? Seeing it from here? It probably is better from here because you're seeing the actual.
Nearly 300 people can decide that on any kind of
Okay, here we go.
consensus.
So I'm just getting this round. Let's see how close we are. That's not the right one. Whew, that got me nervous for a second. I was like, whoa, I did not take that much off. All right, I gotta go a little ways. I could use the parting tool, but I'm so close, I'm just gonna go like this. That's close enough. And down this end, same thing. Okay, we're good. All right, so now we'll just finish up the middle area. Just get it relatively smooth. And I made a little template here with, this is the 15 inches, represents the 15 inches, and this is the little stub tenon that we're gonna have on there. So we'll go there. That's the shoulder, and there's our little stub tenon. We've got another one over here. I'll just use, think of it as the mirror of that. I'm gonna go here for the shoulder, and here for the bottom of the cylinder. Okay, so we're gonna just turn this center area down to 3/4 to start with, and then all we have to do is turn our cylinder. We'll also turn outside these lines down squarish, so it makes, that's gonna be the floor, all right, or the bottom of the cone. So let's see, what are we gonna use here? Okay, we'll use this parting tool. Just get down smaller here. And then in the middle, we're going to go down to our 3/4. And get my 3/4 inch calipers out. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to turn our shapes. So let's say this side will turn as a cone. Let's just use a spindle gouge here. Just going to go, just cut an angle. I'm going to try to connect that point down to that 3/4. I'll use the bevel, just using the bevel as a guide. And let's see, should I leave a little shoulder at the bottom? No, I think the cone, I'll try to go close to the point. I've got to change the angle slightly. Okay, that looks pretty good. That gives us our cone shape. All right, now if I want to true that up a little bit, I could come in with the skew and just scraping cut here. So if this were real, like staves, I wouldn't want short grain at the end, but if they're staved construction, it would be fine, turning it right down to a hard edge. Okay, so now the other side is ready to go. And this one we want to do the same thing, but then we'll put a concave shape to it. Getting any on you,
okay.
camera lady?
Tom, what's the thickness of the parting tool you're using?
The parting tool? I was using two types. I used the standard classic diamond that's 1/8. Here, did I use that? No, maybe I didn't use that. I was using this one, I think this is a 3/8. Let's see what that is. Yeah, it's a 3/8, a little different style. It's pretty aggressive, as you notice, and it's by Sorby. So it's an older one, but it's a 3/8 high-speed steel. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little shoulder down here for this one, and we're just going to, now we're going to create a little bit of a concavity. Is that a word? A concavity. So I'm just letting the gouge ride in there. It's going to start looking like a bell, like a Liberty Bell or something. And I want to bring it up just to my 3/4. I don't have to be so persnickety about the dimensions, but that looks pretty good. I think that gives us a good shape. I think I'll go just a little more. Okay, let's sand that just a touch. Oops.
Will's curious, why is the middle 3/4 when the hole in the disc top is 3/8?
I'm going to turn that down last, Will, so that it was just giving us a target. We know that is 3/4 at the shoulder. And here, now the last thing we'll do is turn that down, yeah, so that we didn't have it so small. And it gave us something to shoot at for our cones.
Do you know who sells the Sorby?
I don't. I'm just going to check this distance just to verify I'm still got this here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm right. Right there's the shoulder with that one. And I'm going to check and see. Yes, does someone know who sells the Sorby? Who's a Sorby seller? That lousy Sorby seller. All right, so that's where I'm going to turn this down. And I'm also going to turn these stubs down on the ends so that I can just cut them off quickly and easily. All right, so let's, what we want to do is we'll use our calipers and we set it right to the shank that I drilled the little hole with under the top, and that's going to be our dimension there. So I think I'll get the smaller parting tool for this. Okay. This is a little tight still. It's touching, but I think that'll squish in there. Okay, let's just clean this up. A little smaller. And down here. Okay. See what we got. All right, I'm happy with that. We'll give that a trial. I'm going to take this off. Just going to cut it off on the bandsaw. Just be quick that way.
Obstacle course around here.
All right, while you're catching up, I'll just cut this. You want to see this?
Got tubes and cords and okay, I'm good.
Yeah, there's a few wires here. All right. Okay. Let's let's just turn this like that so we can see our drawing. We'll bring out our little table. Actually, let's use our notebook. Okay, so I'm just going to pare that off a little bit. That little nub. Okay. Yeah, it's on the floor nicely. Gives us a good simulation there, huh? And then there's our concavity. Maybe not enough, but this is just to give us an idea. All right, so here we go. Let's get our tops on there.
Little doll furniture.
Okay, there's one. The tenon might be a touch long, but no, it's all right. Okay, there we have our two tables. Now, I don't know, can you see it that way? What can we put it on? I guess we can put it on this
Yeah,
here.
you're getting a good picture.
Can you see it all right?
Yeah.
All right. So, what do we think? I mean, which one do you like more? Does this look too heavy? Or does it look kind of modernistic? I'm thinking about undercutting the edge too. I have a little 3/8 bit in the router. Let me just see if I can touch one of those really quick, just partial. To do that, I'm going to put it in the vise here. First, I got to set the height. I should
Cave is getting a little more.
concave, yeah. Oh, concave's getting more votes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Like kind of modernistic. I'm curious what it would look like ebonized. You know, would that be too much? And then if we kind of give it that steep round under, we'll get that kind of, I don't know why that looks Egyptian to me, but we'll get that kind of modern look, modern ancient look. And if I did ebonize all of that, except for the surface of that, it would be pretty cool. I don't know if I should do this on camera. I'm not going to do this. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I would put that in a vise, and you know what I could do is really quickly with a spoke shave. Don't try this at home, kids. I'll undercut. And this is literally how I'm taking that kind of a mass off of a 3-inch. You're not going to get a round over bit that's 3-inch, right? I do have an 1.5 inch round over cutter here. It's pretty cool. But even that might be a little weak. I was thinking of running that on there. But if you wanted to get it even more dished under, I would probably go to that draw knife and then spoke shaves and then just rasp and sand and create a sculpted edge. You're not going to go make a dedicated shaper cutter for that one. I mean, if you were making a lot of them, it might be worth it. But this is simulating what you would be doing with a draw knife, right? You would be taking off big hunks underneath the real slab. And let me just get a section so we can see what happens. What happens is by radiusing under like that, you give the appearance of a thin top, but we're still going to have a mass of 3 inches thick. And, you could do with a thinner top, I suppose, if you cut them thinner, but when those were cut into cookies, the lugger cut them into like 4-inch cookies. So I suppose I could get them resawn, but I think it's good enough. All right, so let's refine it with the. All right, so this is going to give us a little simulation of a round under. Okay, so let's put it. Stay right there. Let's put it on the other one first. Actually, no, let's just go right back on here, okay? So here's the regular thickness, right? But now let's come around and see what a thinner edge does. So that would be getting close to the profile I'm thinking. It's coming under just like that right there. So that looks pretty cool, right? With the conical shape here, it's going to give like this contemporary appearance to this slab top. Now, let's just push it one more bit and we'll be done. Let's see what the base looks like ebonized. And that top, we'll throw a little shellac on that, some blonde shellac, just because that's going to approximate the color of that disc, except for all the punky wood. So we did a video on ebonizing wood, and this stain performed quite well. I don't know if it's still available, but it was actually that India ink was the best winner, which we didn't, I don't even think we used that, but this reminds me a lot of India ink in terms of its, oh, isn't that smart? I put glove on one hand, but I'm not going to get any black on my fingers, you watch. So it's not going to give us a pure black quite yet, because this is maple. Plus you can see my hurried flaws in the... So this is fun, like with the model like this, you can test the concept totally. And I've used things like this to make models of projects that I was quoting to clients. You know, like you have a concept and you're trying to not only sell yourself that it's a good idea, but once you get it nailed down, you make a little model and then you put the finish on it. And it's kind of amazing how realistic it looks. Like I've taken photographs of models and I had to actually put like a pen or a coin in there to show the scale, because otherwise you thought it was a full size in the way a photograph can fool you. Okay, so there we've got that. Now let's put just a little under this edge. I want to just see what that looks like, and then we'll splash a little shellac and we'll give it the final version. Let's just get a little black on there to see if that's crazy or not. So I was thinking the whole base would be black like this, right? And then...
Using the Arbortech to clean that edge down.
The Arbortech? The Arbor...
I'm sorry, am I saying it wrong?
No, it's... Well...
Using the Arbortech and the angle grinder to undercut that edge.
Oh yeah, you could do that too. I mean, on the real one, not this one.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that would be a good idea too. That would help.
Ideas on here I'm not passing on yet.
Yeah, that could help you rough it out. That can be pretty aggressive, and you got to watch out. You know, like I got to be careful with that. And this is great. The shellac sometimes seizes up on the rim and you can't open the can. I'm gonna have to ask the camera lady to open this for me. Can you get this jar? Okay.
Pretty funny.
I almost really had to ask you. All right, so paper towel, and we're gonna just get a little dab of this. Let's get some finish on this guy. Oh, that's fine furniture. Isn't that cool? Gives you the look. All right, so I wonder if we can put it on the black. Just gonna take it off. Yeah, that's all right. And let's just put a little shellac on this. That'll deepen it up a little bit. Nice. All right, so let's set it down and give it one more evaluation. And we, as the designers, are going to see if we like the direction we're heading, if we should make this, if I should do this some night. Okay, there we go. Do you like it with the? Let me hold it up so you can see the top and the base and the undercut edge. How are you feeling about that?
I like it.
I think it's pretty cool, huh? It would make a contemporary looking table. So you'd still have the slab top, and I would leave the live edge, so it would be rounded under. But you'd have this modernistic kind of conical base. Now, the method of constructing that is another thing altogether. It could obviously be stack laminated and then turned in the solid. You'd see all these layers. Or, if I can get that formula from my MIT consultant, I will share that with you, and we'll actually make a tapered, staved, coopered shape that will then go in the lathe, and we will turn it to that shape. And that'll be a blast, right? We'll see how that goes. But I'm pretty happy with that. We've got kind of a cool direction to go with. And let's just look at our, so just to see quickly where we've been, we went from just these little conceptual sketches, right, to the scale drawing. And then from the scale drawing, we make a model that we can get a better feeling about, and then just use our imaginations to think of this slab top being our tabletop. And then we would have a pretty cool object to share. This would be a nice gift for family members, who grew up around that tree, and everyone had a coffee table. Then say, what am I going to do with this? I can't tell my father I can't stand this table. But no, but that's one way to get like these sentimental nature's centuries into the home as the markers of time.
So many great ideas here. I don't even know where to begin.
Great.
You're going to just sit down and really read through these.
Awesome. I'm psyched. I love this kind of thing because we're developing an idea together. I mean, I enjoy making 18th century reproductions because there you're going through the exercise of, if you're a musician, you'd be like playing a beautiful masterpiece, right? You're doing that, though, in the arts of woodworking. So you're reproducing something that has been really well thought over. They've gone through the refinements of various details in the overall composition of the piece. So that's a great study, and I find a lot of enjoyment playing other people's music, But once you do that for a while, it's fun to throw your little kind of riff in there and your own personal expression, that you can put your mark on the piece for antiquity.
Can you talk a little bit about the center joint that you're thinking of and how that's going to add to the strength of the table? It seems like that's an important part. Is that?
Yeah, that we have to address once we decide how we're going to construct the base. Okay, so if we're going to build a conical, a staved base, what I was thinking was I might make a lap jointed cleat system, right? So like basically an X that would be lap jointed of cleats going across, and that would be let into the top of the staves and glued and screwed, so it'd be let just down into that a little bit. So when you get down low enough to look under the table, you'd see these two cleats, and they would come out in a cross. That's my first thought. Okay, so you would have that stability going out, and those staves would be let into the top of your conical staves, which would be fairly thick in that section anyway. So that would give you a lot of structural support there. If you did create the base in a solid, your grain, though, you'd want it running that way to turn a tenon on it. So, and also think about the grain direction on your top. All the grain's running vertically, and that middle section is kind of tore out. You're in the pith of the tree, basically. You would have like a tenon going up in there. That would probably be strong, but I prefer when the tenon is going into horizontally orientated wood grain, and you get a better rest there. So for now, I'm considering a cross-lapped cleat let into the top of the conical staved form. But that's not sure.
Yeah.
All right.
There's so many ideas. If I start naming some of them, someone's going to be left out. And
Yeah, we've probably gone far
that
enough. I'm just excited to hear that you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. I love talking about design and ideas like this, and this is a totally new concept. I'm sure it's been done before, like something like it, but this is not a copy of anything. This is genuinely a sketch and a thought of an idea. So with that, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight in the shop. Remember, if you want to be involved in the hanging cabinet course, which we're about 2/3 through, but even if you come in now, you can go back and revisit the previous videos. We have the bow front hanging cabinet, which also includes the flat frame and panel door. And it's a bonus. It's a twofer. It's a threefer with the Cooper curved door in there as well. So if you want to also get involved in the moving into the neighborhood, you can get more information about that at epicwoodworking.com. And of course, if you like this content, please consider subscribing, sharing, and commenting and all that.
join our mailing list, though.
Yeah. And join our mailing list at epicwoodworking.com. That's the best. Be sure to check out Fine Woodworking this month. It's a good one. No, we're really honored as usual to be in there. Well, on behalf of the camera lady and myself, thank you again for being part of our little fun here in the shop.
Yes.
We look forward to seeing you next week, right back here on Shop Night Live. Good night, everybody.
Oh, gosh. Go get creative out there, everybody. Thanks for talking to us.